Set up my timer.
Timer.
Okay, my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Popular culture has become inseparable with our lives. It is not an entertainment, it shapes the way we think about aspects of life. It isn't something we consume, it also consumes us. Whether through movies we binge on Netflix, the books we romanticize, or the content we scroll through on TikTok, popular cultures build our emotional literacy. Now, the problem of this issue is the narrative of the glorification. Why does popular culture give false hope that walking away from your family is always empowering, that you'll find a group of people out there, your real family, who you think is real, who will love and accept you more than the ones who raised you, just because you feel like they have more aligned vibe with you? This narrative isn't limited to people with abusive or broken homes. Even if you have a decent family, the culture pushes the idea that if forces the idea that if you find someone more emotionally available, you feel more aligned to with those people because they have like the same vibe or value as you. You're justified in cutting ties and walking away from your actual family, the one that actually has the moral obligation to actually like have a tie with you. This is the problem with glorifying the found family trope in popular culture, and it's no longer just about representation or healing. It's about it's giving like portraying us to turning escape into a romanticized default and making biological families into emotional villains. That is how they make the narrative. And in this debate, the keyword is glorification. But and the context is popular culture, a popular force that reaches millions and shapes collective expectations. So, they also portray to people they actually have like uh, a great family. As the government, our burden is to prove that this glorification of found family is popular culture is harmful. And opposition, on the other hand, must do more than say found family helps people. They must prove that glorifying it, constantly framing it as better, so alternative to blood family, because just because you feel more like aligned to them, and you're actually making it like a standard because you actually glorify them. And especially for the masses exposed to it, they must defend that the message okay, even ideal, even to people with great figures in their family. Okay, arguments to support um our stance. Okay, first of all, this narrative actually undermines the importance of repairing real family relationships. So popular culture now repeatedly portrays biological families as toxic. So it forces like even it gives like a standards. Although you that makes people feel, although you have like only small like problems in your family, but because there's like a standard that okay, that if your family do this and they're toxic and you have to just cut ties because you have found someone more aligned to them, and then you just like uh feel not feel like not emotionally aligned and with your biological families because you have found someone you feel like more aligned to. Um and these this standard is toxic itself, because popular culture glorifies found families because because the it makes it like emotionally satisfying, but in doing so it sends like a misleading message. If your family doesn't get you, then cut them off. And you can find your real families out there, and we recognize that real family is often flawed, but that relationship built on obligation are worth preserving when possible, right? And then here's the question: if like if okay, you find someone aligned with you, but what if you fall out with them? like fall out of relationship with them, and then like who's going to actually take care of you, because they don't have like the moral obligation to actually take care of you. So one time you have like a great problem with them, great argument with them, and they just kind of dump you, and then because you have ties your family, and then you can't, you just don't have anyone to take care of you anymore. And people end up isolated, and then just like unable to access to long term like stability, because they just already cut ties with their biological family. Okay, second argument, this set up false hope for those who cannot access found families. And because popular culture show that found families just kind of like flow, because you just find someone that is more aligned with you, a group of misfit myths, and also like um but that is not how real relationship works, right? Especially for people with like traumas or like limited social access. And these glorified stories rarely show that hard part. And then, like rejection, incompatibility, like what are you going to do? As like what I've said before, if like you just kind of like fall out of relationship and stuff, and as loneliness becomes a growing like social crisis, these like fantasies create like an emotional dissonance. People feel like failure for not having what their like favorite characters have, because like it has been very like making like this standard very relevant to like the status quo, although it is not. But like there's just kind of a portraying of like try people to like kind of like find their actual family, although they have like actually great figures in their family. And then our world of on our side, we offer realism. You don't need a perfect group to be whole. You can work with what you have, because yeah, you cannot actually like cut ties with your family if in a circumstance where they are actually like a good figures for you. And this debate is not about representation. It is about like a messaging power. Sure, glorifying family may feel good, but it leaves people with false hope that the popular culture are offering, and we are not here to choose families. Thank you.
Thank you for the Prime Minister for the fine speech. I call upon the Leader of Opposition to continue.
Please, I will set up my timer.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. One family represents people who are estranged or rejected by their biological family. Those who are rejected are called broken people. They need emotional support, love and care, and trust. They may not be formed by a blood relation, but formed by their choice. So even So, what is the broken people? Broken people is a phrase used often for those who have emotional trauma that has deeply affected their well being or sense of self. They face abuse, rejection, and loss of their loved ones. Those who are shattered emotionally or mentally, they need support. They need someone that will stay by their side, not giving them what they need. This will cause to many or even countless negative impacts. It could lead to depression, even suicide, because they have no one to be with. But why do they walk away from their biological family? Because in many cases, that people walk away from their biological family is because their bonds are already strained, or even worse, they are abused. So staying with their biological family will only make their mental health deteriorate even further. Because if they walk away, they can find a family that they know will care for them more than their biological family. So, why do we need to glorify this? In our status quo, people do not care about because of the bystander effect, but found family do. the fact that they found family is not related by blood, they still care for one another. They cherish the person they have, and that is important. We shouldn't be picky with empathy because why? Because everyone deserves it. Those who have strained relationship with their biological family, they will be desperate for love because we as humans, we are social beings. We will need someone and it will deeply affect us. So, bio found family doesn't displace traditional family. It even complements them. It expands the concept of family to be more inclusive. Many characters and even found family can give a safe space. They give unconditional acceptance because they care for their found family, not because of their blood relation, but because of who they are. There is no obligation, but only love. For example, in Heartstopper, Charlie finds safety in friends who affirms his identity, unlike his biological family that who misunderstand him. Wait, that is the that is the end of my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader of Opposition, for the fine speech. Next, I call the Deputy Prime Minister.
All right, test. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. All right, before I want to move on to my arguments, I'd like to rebut what their first speaker has said. All right, well, we agree that friends can cherish and support their friends in crises, but their first speaker has mentioned about the fact that in a worst case scenario on their side of the house, there are manipulative friends or fake friends that seek to use them. Well, yes, we agree that these friends that you want to try and rely on in these cases, such as maybe in an abusive family, or maybe let's say abusive parents, maybe abusive relatives, fake friends still do exist just because of the fact that you bonded over, let's say, your love of motorcycles, your love of gaming, doesn't equally mean that these people are going to be the ones that you want to try and like put your life into. These people are going to provide you shelter. These people are going to provide you with the comfort that you need, right? Manipulative and fake friends can also use these people. These people are also prone after being abused. These people try to seek out this emotional comfort, and people are susceptible to, let's say, fake friends by this. There's a saying that blood is thicker than water. Our family are the ones that can actually support us, which is why we regret the glorification of found families in popular culture. All right, why do we actually regret this? All right, glorifying this found family in culture is that we need to remind you of the fact that in popular culture these found families are bound to be exaggerated. Let's look at, let's say, Friends or The Office. These are working class people that always seem to have, let's say, a friendship that lasts through all the ages with almost barely any argument. And even if these arguments actually do exist, they always seem to be, let's say, back to normal. Why? Because the writers and the plot demanded this. Would this actually happen if someone actually tried to do it themselves? No. Uh, real life friendships, sometimes while they can be stronger than ones in media, can sometimes be even more susceptible compared to media. People could actually try and be annoyed with their roommate, with their friends, and actually kick them out in the event that they annoy them. All right. Another thing that we have to remind, because of the fact this is in popular culture, this is always going to be televised across every single person, both towards adults, teenagers, maybe young adults, and this is why this can actually be pretty dangerous. All right, young adults and teenagers can be romanticized by the idea that if they leave their family, they're gonna have a sort of dream that's actually kind of toxic for them. They're gonna be super optimistic and say, okay, I don't actually like my family. Popular media can influence these people, and they can try to influence the people by saying that, oh yeah, if you leave your family, you're gonna have this is what's gonna be in store for you. This is why it's actually better than your own biological family. All right, this is the same idea as saying that, oh, if I drop out, I'm going to become the next Jeff Bezos. This is why it's dangerous. All right, Because again, even these people, if they want to try and do it, and they actually have that a sort of found family for them, and it doesn't work out as they think, they're gonna realize, oh no, what's gonna happen to me? It isn't as what I thought it was. I'm not gonna have the marry as a relationship that I have in friends, or maybe the office, right? All right, and people would be disheartened by it. They would think that everything was a lie, everything behind that was exaggerated, and this is why what we're trying to prevent. Found families, we're not saying that found families are inherently bad. No, but we just want to make sure that it isn't over exaggerated in popular culture, because this can easily be misinterpreted by these young adults and teenagers, and they can have some sort of toxic optimism behind that idea. All right. And the thing is, found families wouldn't work out for everyone, believe it or not. But let's try to be realistic. They work out because of the fact that it was written to work out. People behind the scenes wrote these people to make sure that they have a sort of entertainment value. It brings entertainment to people watching these shows. All right. In real life, people can have a falling out because of a joke, or just because of the fact that they can actually slowly drift apart, which is realistic. Shows glorify the fact that these people can actually seem to separate, and that's okay. But the problem is they make it seem that this is what's normally supposed to happen. You're always laughing, you're always sharing the ups with your friends, even if you have a sort of down, you're gonna be back to normal the next day, you're gonna laugh again. All right. This wouldn't happen in real life, as as what I said before, they can break in a minute's notice. All right. Just because of the fact that, let's say, even if you were in an abusive family, what's gonna make sure that there's going to be a guarantee that you're actually going to be safe or not? That's all from me. Proud to propose.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, for the fine speech. Let's continue the debate. I call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition here. It's so small, the volume. Can you please try to repeat?
Okay, is my volume okay now?
Yeah, that's better.
All right, let me set my timer for a second. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, first, the opposition team would like to rebut the second speaker of the government team. They say that people who experience toxic household have no guarantee that they will be safe after or before, which is actually true. This is where it comes to the concern why they should walk away from that toxic household. They have no guarantee to be safe in that toxic household. Why should they stay? And second of all, the government team didn't prioritize the stakeholders that should have been prioritized. People that actually experience toxic households are the one we should cater to, because after they run away and maybe eventually found a new family, they're still burdened by the feeling of shame and fear, because those are not the family that they are related by blood. And then we'll explain how the glorification can help them after. And then the government talks about how people that are influenced by popular media of found family glorification that have a home that isn't too bad, but they still chose to walk away. This means that it ultimately comes to their own choice, their influence, and this is a concerning problem. But as you said, they still have a home that they chose to walk away, which implies that the home isn't too bad after all, which means they have somebody to back them up, to reel them back in, to find them, and to finally convince that this isn't the right choice. Meanwhile, people who actually experience toxic household has nobody at all, which is now we'll go to our very first argument, is that broken people get to found their family and getting support from it, which is a good thing because they're not getting support from their biological family. Human needs emotional support that this found family can give this emotional support. And by this emotional support, they can get to continue a happily life without having to be depressed because of not getting support anymore. And this is one of our best scenario, disregarding of how can they find a flawed family, which means that they still have a choice to walk away too. Then, how can this emotional support be of a help for these people who are victims of a toxic household? Individual can become depressed and suicidal after realizing that nobody is supporting them, which makes them thinking, oh, why should they continue living? Which is why they need the support, the emotional support. And then they might develop identity crisis because they don't have anybody to interact and that supports them, will make them confused and question what's their role in their society. Meanwhile, we very need their role in society to participate and function as a normal civilian. Now, the good thing of having those emotional support fulfilled, individual can finally find a reason why they should continue their lives, and then they will get to know the identity because they have interacted a lot with their found family. And our second argument is that glorifying found family tropes can instead highlight and foster the fact that humans as social beings have an instinct to care, to have empathy and bond together, which will influence our society that is growing to be that is very apathetic. And like our first speaker said, the bystander effect, where people do not care if they are not related or they think that somebody else would help them. And by this glorification in popular media, instead, on the bright side, it can influence humans to adopt more of these qualities. And because to connect means to unite. And now what is the trade-off here? Glorifying found family in popular media means that it gives a chance to represent people that actually have found family. This shed light for those that are considered a minority in our society. So what is the minority? As an example, for the longest time, why is calling somebody adopted considered a slander? Is being adopted shameful? No, it just means that the child who was adopted was given a chance of a deserving family that would provide and care for them. Now, as I said before, glorifying found family instead highlights the capacity of humans to find connection, to feel empathy, and even if they're not related. This helps people with found family feel as if they're still a part of a society, as a human being that can still bond despite the previous hardship they went through. And the second trade-off is glorifying found family means that stories that are unideal, as an example, broken people joining criminal gangs, or maybe a fake friends, that as you said, these are usually excluded from popular media because these people that find home in a bad organization doesn't highlight their shortcomings, but instead popular media highlights the establishment of their bond. And again, like I explained before, this gives the representation to the broken people what found family is, no matter what kind of family they found, because the representation of the glorification aims to make these broken people not shameful for being abandoned, then chosen, and then aims to sort of cater of this feeling as a human to be able to care and to feel empathy. That is the end of our arguments, and thank you.
We have give you the best scenario and worst. Oh,
Thank you, the Deputy Leader of Opposition, for that very frank speech. To put in the case, I will call upon the government whip here.
best scenario happens.
Hold on. Can I have a minute to organize everything and set up my timer?
Sure.
Right? Thank you. All right, hello, I'm audible.
Yep.
I will begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. escape, abandonment, choosing to leave when things get rough. Is this what we want? No. We're here and we're for fixing our problems and growing as a family. Very proud to propose. Before moving on to clashes and concluding this debate, I have a couple of rebuttals for team opposition. So firstly, team opposition's entire case and argument revolves around the people having the consumers of this media having abusive household or emotionally negligent household. But the narrative isn't about this, but whether or not we should regret this narrative in popular media, as we've discussed. As we discussed from our first and second speakers. You stated yourself, popular media doesn't show the dark side. Doesn't show the dark side and things that happen or the bumps that they have to go through in order to keep this found household. So it's not guaranteed. So these households are not even guaranteed to have these mass consumed media. So it's not even guaranteed that they're going to keep these found households. Now moving on to the clashes of the effects of consuming and whether we choose to follow or not follow these tropes. Now, first of all, I think this whole debate revolves around the safety after they have the safety and decision after they have consumed these mass media. So first of all, let's clash on the physical safety. Under our side of the house, where they don't follow these tropes and they do decide to stay with their family, you might say that they have an abusive household. But what level of abuse are you talking about? Now, with our family has a moral obligation to take care of us. And you might say that they might ignore that and they just continue to be more, they might continue to abuse. Maybe they won't feed you or anything. But that isn't quite the case because ever since they signed your birth certificate, they've already agreed on taking responsibility for your well-being and your life. So they're not only morally obligated, but they're also legally obligated to be taking care of you until you are of age and until you are able to work on your own. Even if, say, you weren't physically safe with them, why would you choose to stay with them? And why would you try to go to your friends instead? Instead, why don't you go to Child Protective Services? Why don't you go try and get adopted by another family? Then they would actually have an obligation to take care of you. However, under opposition side of the house, who are more prone to following these tropes and are more prone to running away, the things these shows portray, they aren't realistic. They aren't 100% realistic. It's not all sunshines and rainbow. There's definitely going to be ups and downs. However, the thing is, when it's the case is, if it's with your friends, the thing is, if it's the case with your friends, they don't have an obligation to take care of you. Not only do they not have an obligation, they won't always have the resources to take care of you either. It's going to be mentally tasking for them as well. It's going to tire them out eventually as well, which leads to my second clash on emotional. Which leads to my second clash on emotional safety. Under the government side under our side of the house, since we've stated before, these parents, they have a moral obligation. If you were willing and they were willing, you were going to try to fix things. You're going to try to fix things. Otherwise, they fail as a parent. And I think that's what opposition's case is all about. If they're not willing to fix things. But what they don't realize is that it's even more prone to happening under side of the house, under their side of the house. If you do one little thing to tick them off or to make them upset, they can your friends can literally ghost you. Not to say, we're not even mentioning about the fake friends and the manipulated friends. As opposition has mentioned before, the media does not portray or does not show the negative side or the say like drugs or crime. They don't show you any of that, so you can't actually know when to pull out of these bound households. It's going to lead you into even more trouble because you're going to end up with like ties with gangs and like drugs. Hold on.
Okay.
Give me a
Karena
second.
influence kena broken.
Again, they have no moral obligation to ensure your emotional safety or physical safety, unlike your family or your parents do. And when we're talking about abusive households, it's going to, most of the time it leads to one thing: depression. And the thing is with depression, the thing with depression is you radiate negative energy. Why? You already have this. You have this bad self-esteem. You have this bad self-image of yourself. You're essentially like a train wreck of a mood. So most of the time you bring off bad vibes. You're going to constantly ask for more. What's it called? You're going to constantly ask for more reassurance. You're going to constantly ask for more reassurance, which can tire out over time. When it comes to your parents, when it comes to your loving and caring parents, of course they're willing to give you that. But if they're abusive, then yeah, maybe you won't be able to get that there. But that also happens under the opposition side of the house. The thing that they don't talk about is that depression also tires other people out. They're gonna think, why does this person keep on doing this? Why do they need so much reassurance? It's going to tire them out eventually. And unlike these parents, our friends don't actually have a moral obligation to keep. If they get tired of us, they can just leave whenever we want, unlike our parents. So overall, we win both clashes because it's more physically more safer to stay with your parents than just running off with your friends, and it's also more emotionally safe to stay with your parents than running off with your friends as well. That is all from me. Very proud to propose. Thank you very much.
I thank the government for that final speech. To continue the debate, I call upon the opposition here.
Hello, is my voice audible?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, wait a second. Clock. Okay. So my preference for the POI is you unmute yourself and then you say POI. It's my decision later. I will accept it or not. Okay, so let me start my speech on 3, 2, 1. All right. So I've got a few rebuttals that needs to be given for the government team. The first one is found family is toxic because broken people found someone that aligns with them. What if you fall out with them? Who's going to take care of you? That's the whole point that they're trying to say to us, to panelists and to the opposition team. Now, our question is, now why do they walk away? In many cases, that people walk away from their family because of their bonds are strained, or even worse, they are abused, they are being exploited, which will make their mental health more deteriorating or become worsened, which is why they walk away. They can find and choose a family that they know who will. Broken people get their rights to choose on which family that they want to stay. If their family is perfect, that the perfect family fulfill their emotional support, then of course they will stay because they have a comfort already on that perfect family. Now, however, we are talking about broken people. Does broken people have a perfect family? No. It usually happens that broken people have a bad family which doesn't take care of them pretty well. They abuse the broken children and etc., which is something bad, right? And if it's something bad, let me ask to you, panelists or judges, would you stay if something bad keeps happening to you? You wouldn't stay, right? And I will imagine this. I will imagine a scenario where one of the government team's member, Catherine, is one of the broken people that has a broken family. If she gets to realize that people glorify this found family, she will realize that there is no use to stay on something bad. Of course, she will move on to the found family that accepts her and that will fulfill the needs of the emotional support that she needs. And this is something that we emphasize from the first speaker of my team that has done her speech. Now, second, popular media can influence people to leave their real family and take the found family. This is the point that is being given from the government team. Now, let me ask you, does the real family of broken people really contribute with the need of their life, the emotional support? If no, then no wonder the broken people usually rarely talk to their biological family member or abandon them. It's because that they saw there's no one fulfilling their needs. That's why he need found family to have his emotional support fulfilled. And if people has a perfect family, if if the people has a perfect family, has a good background family, he will then just leave his family because why would he leave? His emotional support is fulfilled. He's being comfort already in there. He will even have found family to get double receivement of emotional support, which is good too. So there's biological family and then there's found family that both of them gave the emotional support, which is good. And there's no problem with glorifying the found family. And the third one, the government team keep emphasizing the blood thicker than water principle, like the birth certificate, that agrees on taking care of something like that, where biological family is much more better than found family. But the problem is that reality doesn't always align with perfection. Many unlucky people gets to have a family that is bad at taking care at them, which makes them become broken. Now, the same answer that I gave you on the first point of my rebuttal. Would you stay if something bad keeps happening to you? If you stay on a family that gives bad influence or maybe abandons you or doesn't fulfill your needs, would you stay? Of course no, right? Because you're a human. You need a support. And if that support comes from found family, why don't you just go to that found family? Go to that found family so you can get your support. This is something that we emphasize and we try to glorify because not many broken people know this kind of thinking or mindset. Okay, so now to the weighing on this debate. So our team has stated that glorifying found family trope is good because broken people that needs emotional support can find their place like a friend group like found family that can give them emotional support, which is what the broken people wants to find. And then the second, we stated that rather than making the broken people become a lonely individual and not knowing their identity, which makes them later go and rebel and become bad, we want to make them found their family member, found their found family, found their found family, which later they can discover their identity by interacting with the family, and later he might have a clear perspective on living his life. And the third one, we address the needs for the broken people and we gave the solutions for their needs, glorifying the found family so the broken people get to know that they should find a found family that can support them and getting their needs from the found family. And the fourth, the government team is being scared of the individuals get a false hope of realizing the found family is not the same like on the media, the fake friend and the bad influence. However, government team didn't answer on how to fulfill the needs of the broken people. What broken people need right now is about this kind what broken people need right now is not about this kind of problem. What their problem is having insufficient amount of emotional support or not enough amount of emotional support. And if they don't have enough amount of emotional support, they will develop mental illness like depression. That depression leads to the suicidal thoughts because they are considering whether to continue life or not because no one supports him. Panelists, let me ask you the question. Do you want broken people to go suicide because of not being allowed to found family and not having their emotional support fulfilled? You don't want that to happen because the worst outcome is death, right? That's why this glorification of found family trope should continue and shouldn't be regret. So broken people gets to realize that they should find a found family that can fulfill their emotional need, which later they can become a functional society person, just like what the trade-off has been said from my second speaker. And we have already provided you the best scenario, the worst scenario. We have addressed the needs of the broken people, and we have already addressed the solution of their needs by glorifying the found family trope, so more broken people get their emotional support, while the government had only just addressed the problem on the found family trope, but not addressing the need of the broken people, which is why the government team has failed the debate on this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, opposition whip, for the verifying speech. To close the entire case of the opposition bench, I call upon the opposition whip here. Opposition reply, please.
I'm sorry, is my mic audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Now, I am going to explain the weighing and also the clashes between both teams within our arguments. The government are highlighting people that walked away from their okay family because they're influenced by the glorification of found family. Now, on their side, the actors are people who experience, which I assume, light abuse because, well, we think that any kind of abuse cannot be leveled, as the government team previously mentioned and asked what levels of abuse, any kind of abuse, be it verbal or physical, are still abuse and they cannot be tiered. Then, they had them focus on the actors that actually receive actual abuse. What on their side, their stakeholders are people that influenced by this glorification of found family, are people who might receive light disciplinary, perhaps as in being nagged or yelled for a mistake that they did, then they chose to walk away. Meanwhile, their problem can still be solved because at the start, the family was never abusive. They still care and will reach out and search for their own family and take them back. As from our side, meanwhile, the broken people from a toxic household that are influenced from this glorification will be urged to leave when they saw that the situation are getting worse. In the status quo, people who are experience actual abuse, be it verbal or physical, are afraid of leaving the place. That's literally killing them slowly. So by not regretting the glorification of found family means that it can help these broken people to leave when their safety isn't guaranteed. When they leave, the problem is solved. Then our second actors from the opposition team are the people who already have found a family that is safe and stable, but they still feel shame and feel out of place. This is where the glorification of found family helps them realize that they do belong and that it doesn't matter that they are related or not, but it's the bond and ability to feel empathy, which the world needs more of this quality, so that it can also solve the flawed found family, like the government team mentioned, that will mislead the broken people to do crimes, drugs, or abandon them twice like those fake friends. So in terms of solvency, our team has solved twice the problem, which is first to get out the people who actually experience toxic household and abuse, and second, to make a people who have found a family that is safe and feel like they do belong and have an identity, and which we have previously explained how emotional supports can help these people to be a functional societal civilian. So the ratio are 2:1 compared to the government in terms of solvency. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opposition reply to end the whole debate. I call upon the government reply. Here.
All right, am I audible?
Yep.
All right, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. All right, so in today's debate, the question was never about like, is found family real? Can it be meaningful, or should we worry about abuse? All right, we both sides agree that found family can be a source of, let's say, healing for those who come from a abuse household, from the pain, trauma, and loss that could occur towards the individuals. All right, but the real question, the motion of this debate is what happens when the idea of this found family is exaggerated and mass distributed through popular culture, popular media. All right, that's the heart of our case. And where opposition failed to engage. We told you from the beginning, the glorification isn't just about the representation; it's the romanticization, the toxic optimism that these found families can bring, that these popular culture are trying to bring into you, all right? To the point that they're portrayed as a sort of escape route and easier, that it's more easier, deeper, and it's more loving just because you're with your friends compared to the families that you were born into, all right? These aren't just niche films that someone might stumble. These films are mainly mainstream, widely consumed media. They're almost everyone knows about them. Almost everyone watches them. All right. This is similar to, let's say, these blockbuster films. All right. These stories sometimes they don't just reflect the life story like stories. They sometimes can reshape the ideas, and this reshaping has consequences. All right. We showed you that by glorifying these found families, it teaches people that it's actually empowering, or it's actually better to just straight up leave this family instead of actually trying to fix what's broken. All right. Sometimes when these people actually come from these, let's say, less than manageable households, the healing that comes through actually by trying to solve or trying to fix these problems instead of just running away and then replacing your entire support system entirely maintained by your friends. All right. Opposition never told you about how that message helps because a healthy, or let's say a repairable family that is willing to communicate, it actually doesn't always happen all the time. And in real life, families aren't all that good or all that bad, and they're messy, and of course communication will always happen along the way. But the problem is just because that we're glorifying these found families, popular culture doesn't show that. It skips to the happy alternative, as mentioned by government. They told you that glorification is empowering for people with trauma, but our side never really opposed about found families. But what we're going to oppose is their dominance, like how distinct they are in the popular culture, popular media. We should have, when repeated enough, sometimes these stories set us an unrealistic expectation. The same thing as what government has mentioned about if you're a dropout, you're going to become Jeff Bezos. For people who are like going through a temporary conflict or have growing pains at home. And the thing is, opposition also has to do with the mass impact of pop culture. Sometimes these stories don't stay confined to people who need escape, and sometimes they reach everyone. All right, this narrative isn't only exclusive towards the people who actually need to leave; it's actually open to everyone. That's why kids from stable families sometimes are now being sold that if you about this fantasy, this toxic dream that sometimes the loyalty and belongings that come from your friends are more important than what's after your home. And sometimes when they actually do that, that fantasy falls apart. They're left more disillusioned because of this. And at the end of the debate, one side, government side, grounded itself in the reality of literature that
Mami,
sometimes if you choose
Mami.
this, if you choose these found families, or if you inherit it from your natural families, it's complicated and takes effort. For all these reasons, we are proud to propose.
Thank you so much for the government reply to end the whole debate. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I will need around 10 minutes to check on my notes and try to assess for my OA. So yeah, you don't need to return to the main chamber. You can stay here. Please congratulate each other for finishing round one, and I'll see you in round two.
ini ya, jangan kayak aduh ini nih kayaknya musuhnya ini deh, musuhnya cupu gitu deh. Coba kita softkan sedikit. Jangan ya, beneran jangan. Gas 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 aja terus sampai ini, gas aja sampai ini, sampai apa dah, sampai maksimal. Hancurkan aja gitu. Soalnya mereka di situ pun juga nggak bakal ini, nggak bakal kasihan juga sama kita. Jadi ngapain dikasihanin? Mending kita apa dah, hantam aja gitu. Pas yang kayak si Tuhana bilang, we gotta chill down a little bit. No, you don't chill di round pertama nih. Ya, ya. No. I mean like, ya walaupun mungkin aku salah pemahaman ya, tapi kalau misalnya memang mesinnya udah panas tuh jangan dimatiin. Next round tuh ini apa dah, masih butuh spiritnya buat debat. Jadi jangan kayak chill down dulu. No. There will be no insult. There will be no insult. Karena nggak bakal ini kan. Kita jangan sampai masuk ke tim kode etik lah. Cuman ya jangan apa dah, jangan ini sih, jangan chill sih kalau bisa udah lomba gini. Usahakan tuh kasih yang terbaik gitu. Ya, ya, that's all. Oh ya, tolong dong elaborasinya boleh lebih panjang lagi gak? Soalnya kayaknya tadi kayak kurang sekali gitu rasanya. Okay, that's all. Extend guys, don't forget.
Hi everyone. I think I'm ready for the OA, checking for everyone attendance. Government team, or are you guys here incomplete?
Here in complete.
Okay, lovely. Opposition team, or are you guys here incomplete?
Here and complete.
All right. Wait. One sec. Okay, I think I am audible and visible as well. Okay, everyone, thank you so much and congratulations for finishing round one of GDF. It was a very close debate, an entertaining debate as well. And my OA will be divided into two parts. The first part will be my decision, the second part will be my reasoning and message. Okay, so it was a very interesting debate, pretty engaging in some stances. And I will give the winning team to the government team. So congratulations for the government team and commiseration for our team. It's okay. There are still other rounds. So yeah, please keep the spirit up. Okay, so let's get into my decisions. Right. So round one, we're talking about the regret in the sense of glorification of found families, right? I think everyone here knows about Harry Potter, or maybe The Office, or some circumstance, maybe Avengers in the case of Black Widow. I think all of us know some level of examples of what found family is. Government team comes to the debate saying that popular pop culture is so integrated and it shapes how we live and how we perceive daily life right now. And the main thing that they wanted to prove is that why is this glorification bad? Not necessarily that the idea of one family is bad. They're just trying to provide instances on why glorification is an issue. Opposition comes to the debate saying that this is a protection, this is a safety net, and that this is good to promote an option, especially for people who comes from maybe a minority group or minority situation in society, right? Yeah. So I want to talk about the opposition case first. I think opposition team come to this debate rolling, and in a way, I can contribute and I could credit a lot of their substances. For example, I do like the idea that this gives forth options, this gives forth an idea of comfort, this gives an idea of acceptance, especially for people who come from maybe unfortunate situations. However, that being said, again, I need to refer back to the motion, and everyone here needs to come back to the motion again. We are talking about the glorification of this pop culture and what will happen. We'll talk about what government brings. However, I need to give credit where credit is. The